The media has an uncanny manner of demonizing the African American male. Based on the stereotypical roles in films, as well as the information being generated by the media, it appears as though African American men prefer not to embrace the responsibilities of matrimony, fatherhood, or obeying the law. To combat this ignominious action, we sat down and talked with several individuals who have made a difference for themselves and the persons around them. These men come from various backgrounds and have been a downplayed part of the black experience.
In 1987, I was playing with a gun, and the gun accidentally went off, and it struck and killed my brother.
For 3 years, Abdul Muhammad has been speaking his message of how African American men need to be husbands to their wives and fathers to their children. Through the Newark Comprehensive Center for Fathers and Fathers Now initiatives, Mr. Muhammad has directly targeted ex-felons, street gang members, and any father who wants to make a difference in the lives of their families. Using a holistic approach, NCCF offers fathers mentoring, parenting and life skills, legal assistance, tutoring for math and reading, individual counseling, support groups, father-child activities, employment search, and interview preparation services. Joshua Paul Thompson has been a longtime producer and collaborator with R&B crooner Joe, as well as various platinum artists including Aretha Franklin, Babyface, George Benson, Alicia Keys, and Luther Vandross.
She said, "Here I am!"
Yes, sir! Hey! Yes, sir!
You better know who you are!
Yeah,
You better know who you are!
The author of 20 books involving Christian empowerment, Dr. William D. Watley, has been the instrument of improvement within both the city of Newark and the world community. For 26 years as the senior pastor for St. James AME Church, Dr. Watley has implemented multiple streams of community outreach including Visions Academy Charter High School, the Blake House, St. James Towers, G-Men meetings, New Life Ministries, Noonday Service, and various Bible studies. Having obtained multiple theological degrees in accolades, Dr. Watley also holds a Master of Philosophy and a Doctor of Philosophy from Columbia University.
My father and his colleagues, what they taught me was lifestyle and the way that you pastor and care for people. And so because I grew up in a preacher's household, because my father's friends were preachers who visited in and out the house, because they, as people used to say, took a liking to me, I got an inside view of what it meant to really be a Karen. Remember, there's a difference between a pastor and a preacher. Preacher preaches, a pastor has a congregation and tends to develop that flock. Fortunately, I grew up around some persons who were not major preachers, not large pastors. I pastor a church larger than I think any of those. As a matter of fact, I know I pastor a church larger than any of the persons who helped shape my ministry. But their skills and their gifts went beyond the size of their congregation.
My grandfather was definitely my number one role model.
Okay.
I admired him a lot. That man there was a hallmark, you know. And I often tell people sometimes we try to look for role models outside of our own families, and we associate role models with entertainers and people like that. And my grandfather was a role model for me. He was a family man that had values. You know, he was born in the 1920s, and even after him and my grandmother divorced, you know, he still was there for his children. He was still there for his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, up until his death. Minister Louis Farrakhan. Minister Louis Farrakhan is my role model. I look up to him, you know, because of his strength, his resilience to articulate a message to us, and not being afraid to do that. You know, I admire him for that. Dr. Naeem Akbar. Dr. Naeem Akbar is another man that I look up to, respectfully so. I've read all of Dr. Naeem Akbar's book. When I was in prison, in fact, Dr. Naeem Akbar would write me letters. You know, I reached out to Dr. Naeem Akbar, you know, told him my thoughts and stuff like that. He would write me letters. I have several letters that he wrote to me when I was incarcerated. I never had a chance to meet him, you know, but definitely reading his book, like Visions for Black Men, Chains and Images of Psychological Slavery, Community to Self, and all these Ancient Light from Africa, all these powerful books that he has written. And lastly, I would say it's another brother that is a principal right here in the city of Newark, has a school right next door, Newark Tech, Principal Baruti Kafeli. You know, another positive brother that I look up to as well, you know, that I could say that is a mentor because of his stance of where he stand at as an educator, you know, and how he runs his schools and stuff like that, and this being a family man, a husband and a father, you know, to his kids.
People who made a difference, there was Ben Jones, who was the first black councilman in Orange, my dad, Ernest Thompson, who helped Ben get elected to his first term, and they desegregated some of the schools in Orange, did a lot for North Jersey City. Yeah, they had a company, a citizens union called Tri-City Citizens Union for Progress, which did a lot of things in the tri-state area for the three cities that were Jersey City, Newark, and I think it was Bayonne. I think those were the three cities that they grouped together for Tri-City. There's a new company now called Hands, which is an independent nonprofit organization that helps rebuild the houses in Orange. They've rebuilt over 100 houses. My sister Mindy Thompson Fullylove is actually working with them to rebuild a lot of these houses in Orange. And they've taken houses that were originally crack houses, fixed the worst house on the block, and then every house on the block is better because the worst house was raised up. So the people who were here, now they moved up because they say, hey, they fixed that house up, I got to keep my house nice. So they take their house even higher.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting concept.
But what happened to the inhabitants of the crack house?
They cracked out. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. I think some of them had abandoned the houses, or they were about to be out because of different problems with drugs or whatever. But when they rebuilt the houses, young black families or Hispanic families were able to come in to low-income housing, but affordable and good quality housing at a reasonable price where they could work within the boundaries of their modest incomes. And they were able to now have a real home, and they want to take care of it because now they have a neighborhood. So it's building a neighborhood pride thing by having people invest in their home.